All the leaves are brown, all the leaves are brown, and the sky is gray, and the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. I'd be safe and warm if I was in LA, if I was in LA.
All right, our next stop is going to be in Los Angeles. Our next guest is a rising star, a great musician, talented vocalist. Her YouTube channel has nearly 350,000 followers with 41 million views. Her latest release, Everywhere and Nowhere, drops tomorrow. Focused on the beauty of finding another person that feels like home. You can pre-save and pre-order that single right now. Just go to AnnReburn.com. You can follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Hear and Roar, and her YouTube channel under Ann Reburn. And if you like her work, make sure you find her on Patreon, which is critical to what she's doing right now. It's Ann Reburn who joins us here on the Rip City Drive. Good afternoon, Ann. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for plugging all of that stuff. Now I don't have to promote myself. You already did it.
Well, I tried. I know that you've got a lot of things going on. I want to make sure people know how to reach you, and I think it's very important. But this is exciting. You've got a release week. New single drops tomorrow. How do you enjoy the anticipation, Ann, of a new single dropping and seeing the reaction from your fans and followers?
You know, I am on the edge of my seat right now. One thing that I like to do is release all of my content a day early for Patreon. So those folks that are supporting me on Patreon are paying a monthly pledge, basically, to support me. So one of my rewards over there is releasing it a day early. So I've actually got a little bit of a taste of the reaction from the folks who got to listen to the song today.
Well, that's got to be scary, right? I mean, radio is similar, but not quite the same. But when you put your heart, your soul, everything you are into your music, and then you release it, it puts you in a vulnerable spot to a degree, right?
Sure, absolutely. And just the very nature of writing original music, the fact that these are songs that come from my feelings and experiences, yeah, it's incredibly vulnerable.
Well, tell me about Everywhere and Nowhere. Where did you draw the inspiration for that song?
This song was inspired by a relationship that was a long distance at the time. If you listen to the lyrics, they mention Miami and LA, so I'm sure you can guess which two cities we were in. And just the core concept of quality time with that person that you love. So you like them so much that you want to go everywhere and do everything with them, but you're also just perfectly content to stay at home and do nothing.
Well, Ann, I want to ask you about the songwriting process and how it works for you. I mean, do you keep a journal? Do you have a notepad that you walk around with to write down your ideas? Do you go for a drive or a walk? How does that process play out for you when you're feeling inspired and you want to really explore those feelings and the things that you're thinking about?
That's such a good question. I do have a songwriting notebook where I'm always writing down ideas, even when I'm not feeling inspired, writing down concepts or phrases, or maybe even drawing little pictures. I would never want anyone else to see that notebook because it's like my diary. It's like worse than my diary. But a lot of times when I want to write, I'll go back to that notebook and pick an idea from maybe something I had left for myself before.
That's terrific. We're talking with Ann Reburn, who is here on the Rip City Drive. Now, I want to know what comes first for you, the music or the lyrics. And the reason why I ask, I saw an interview with Billy Joel once, and he normally is someone who will write lyrics and then develop music around it. But one time he didn't do it. It went in reverse order. He ended up making a song that was popular, but he hates the song. We Didn't Start the Fire, because he was trying to fit lyrics into the music that he had created. So for you, which comes first? Is it music? Is it lyrics? Or does it change based on the situation?
It might change. For me, usually the lyrics come first, but sometimes the lyrics and the music come at the same time. Like I'll have an idea for a lyric and it comes with a melody already. So then it's kind of just building the chords and the rest of the instrumental around this melody that I have in my head.
All right. So you and I share something in common, Ann. I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and grew up in Manford, a very small town just outside of Tulsa. You were born in Nebraska, but you grew up in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I used to have family that lived there, another small town in the northeastern part of the state. You had your eyes set on the bright lights in big city of LA, but you have said that Bartlesville was nice in terms of opportunities in the arts when you were younger. What different activities were you involved in as a child or when you were younger that kind of helped push you along this direction that you're on right now?
Yeah, Bartlesville, for a town its size, has a lot of performing arts opportunities. So I started out with dance when I was maybe 3.5, ballet, tap, and jazz. I started taking voice lessons. Then I got into community musical theater, which I absolutely loved. I was also in choir all throughout high school. And you know, sorry, I just lost my train of thought thinking about Bartlesville. Um, Although I always did want to get to a bigger city, you can't live somewhere for over 20 years without it becoming a little bit of your home. So it will always be a part of me, even though I'm not there anymore.
No, that makes sense. And don't worry, it's easy to lose train of thought when you dip back into Oklahoma. That happens to me all the time. And the people here in the city of Portland, they make fun of me all the time. They're like, shut up, Okie, you don't know what you're talking about. But when you were younger, you actually experienced performance anxiety before you even knew what it meant. And this is when you had piano concerts or competitions, but you didn't experience that when it came to singing in front of an audience. Why is that? Why would there be a difference between playing an instrument or playing a piano in front of an audience compared to singing?
I wish I knew. It's such a strange thing that only happens to me when playing an instrument is involved. I would get so anxious before those piano competitions. And even still, before playing a show, if I'm playing an instrument, I'll be so super nervous. But, with the dance performances, of course, I had a normal amount of nerves, but it was like a good, excited nerves. It wasn't like sweating hands and shaking and mom, please don't make me go. I don't want to do it. It was exciting.
Yeah, so I experience the same thing still today, and I've been doing radio for a long time. But right before the show, I get these, like butterflies, and it's like a nervous
Yeah.
energy, but it helps to bring in my focus, and that helps me. But what did you learn to do to cope with that over time? Because you're someone in music where part of the excitement and obviously for people who enjoy your music, they want to see it live. So how did you learn to cope with that and deal with that type of anxiety?
You know, Probably just breathing deep and knowing that everything is going to be okay. Of course, the anxiety that I would experience before performing was not really rational. It didn't come from a place of reason. So, knowing that there really is nothing to worry about, the worst that could possibly happen is you mess up and you move on.
We're talking with Ann Reburn here on the Rip City Drive. It's something I need some explanation on because I don't quite understand it, but your experience in choir, and I know you enjoyed your choir experiences quite a bit, but you've said that it helped you when you're singing a cappella in terms of matching tones. How so?
Totally. So if you're familiar with my videos, you'll know that I sing all of the parts and I put a ton of harmonies in those videos. So I'll be singing the lead and then I'll also be singing usually at least three backing vocals or harmonies. The thing about choir is that it's many different voices coming together, and you're, of course, hearing other people sing different parts. So, kind of twofold. One is holding your own part while you're hearing other people around you do something different. And the second thing is kind of that the choir is all about the group. And my videos, in a way, the vocals are about that as well. So, listening to the people around you, making sure you all cut off a note at the same time, making sure that you put that ending consonant on the word at the same time. Those are things, learning to listen to the rest of them are things that really help me when I'm recording, because I'll listen to myself back in my headphones and I'll match exactly what I did in the previous takes.
We're talking with Ann Reburn. Her latest single, Everywhere and Nowhere, drops tomorrow. You can get that right now by going to her website, annreburn.com. Now, is it true that you picked up the guitar or you learned how to play guitar because your sister gave up on her lessons and you kind of did one of those deals? I'm a younger brother, so I would inherit things from my brother when I felt like he was done with it. Did you take over her guitar? Is that how it went down?
Yeah, you're right. Usually, I'm the older sibling, so usually it was me giving the hand-me-downs. But in this case, I actually took the guitar from her, and to be honest, I don't think she really misses it. But yeah, I picked up guitar while I was in college, after I started learning the bass, actually. And there was already one in the household, so I didn't have to buy myself a guitar. There was there.
All right, you got to tell me. I love this, but how to explain how Guitar Hero 3 had a profound impact on you?
Yes, this is kind of silly to talk about, but Guitar Hero 3, first of all, I was really, really good at it. I invite you to challenge me at Guitar Hero 3 because I'm pretty confident in my abilities there. But
You
Guitar
dominate,
Hero
don't you?
3,
You would destroy me on Guitar Hero 3, wouldn't you?
I could, it's been a while since I played anyone but my little sister,
Yeah,
but, I'm pretty sure I could get those abilities back
I like that. I
with a
like the
little bit of
quiet
practice.
confidence there with your Guitar Hero skills. That's nice. But
But that the game has a multiplayer mode that allows you to play different guitar parts or a guitar and a bass, for example. So when I was playing Guitar Hero 3 with my friends or with my sister, that was the first time that I really started listening to the different instrumental parts in a song. I started paying attention to what's bass and what's guitar, or what's the rhythm and what's the lead. And it changed the way that I listened to music because I started listening actively rather than just passively.
now, Anne, a lot of people know you for your work on YouTube and your videos and some of your cover work, which is tremendous. I mean, you've got a massive following now, nearly 350,000 people. But from my understanding, when you loaded up your first video, like you didn't have a plan or a pathway, like I'm going to become a big time YouTuber. Like, did you? I mean, what was going through your mind when you loaded up the first video, and how did it lead to get to where you're at today?
Yeah, that first video was just a product of the fact that I was working in a job that didn't allow me to be very creative, and I was frustrated and I was bored. I didn't like the job. So I decided to do something musical for fun. And one of the first videos I ever uploaded, I think it was maybe the third or fourth, was a cover of Mr. Sandman, the song from the 50s by the Chordettes.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the YouTube algorithm just picked up that video and started recommending it to a lot of people. And that was how my channel got started growing organically. Just because of Mr. Sandman, it went absolutely crazy for some reason. And now it's up to, I think, 8 million views, which when I published that, I was happy to get 2,000. So even though it's several years old, that's still driving people to my YouTube channel. It's crazy.
Well, I think that song's a perfect example. And let me tell you what we did yesterday. I was talking to a couple of producers here in the office, and I mentioned that I was going to interview you at one. So someone pulled up one of your videos and played Sandman, and it's a great song. It's a classic, right? But the funny thing is, it took us all back to a time and a place. We remember that song from the movie Back to the Future, and that's how we connect with the song. My parents might remember it from a high school dance, right? Like, music is so powerful and how it takes you back to a time and a place. And I think that's a song. Obviously, it's popular. It's been around for a long time, but I think people connect with that in a lot of different ways, which is really cool.
Totally. I love seeing the ways that different people connect with all of the songs that I do. And that's one thing I find very, very rewarding about this type of content that I create, that it could have an almost infinite rewatch value.
That's terrific. Now, when it comes to some of the songs that you choose to cover, I would imagine there's songs that you like. I mean, you've had a lot of songs I like. I love the Bee Gees. You've done some Police, the Mamas and Papas, which we played. Is that what it is? That you will just you've got music you listen to. You find the songs that you like, and you're like, I want to put my spin on that song.
Usually that is it most of the time. Yeah,
That's cool.
I think my taste for covering songs that are a little bit older is influenced by a bit by the musical taste of my dad. As I was growing up, I always listened to his music, and for some reason, I find that those songs are really conducive to the type of cover that I do. So with instruments that I'm able to play and lots of harmonies or space for me to create harmonies.
That's terrific. One thing I wanted to ask you, like, there's a lot of young girls out there who may want to go on to be a YouTuber, or maybe they're a new tuber, or they have interest in performing, or maybe it's music. What advice would you give them for someone who's trying to approach that? Do you have a certain is there a certain foundation they need, and some of the challenges they might face? Especially going from Oklahoma to LA. I mean, you faced a lot of fears in making that journey. That's why I admire you for that. So, what's some of the advice you would give to younger ladies out there who are maybe wanting to follow a similar path?
Sure. Yeah. Oklahoma to LA was a very big change. Thankfully, I had had the chance to visit before, so I kind of knew what I was getting into.
Yeah.
And it was kind of always a place that I wanted to end up. But as far as music goes, the truth is there are so many different paths to success, and no ones are alike. I mean, I certainly am not following in the footsteps of anyone because I had no idea I'd end up here or how it would happen. So I think my most important advice that I would give to a new content creator or an aspiring content creator is just to make what they love, to find what they love and do it, and make it for you and for nobody else.
We're talking with Ann Reburn here on the Rip City Drive. Her latest single, Everywhere and Nowhere, will drop tomorrow. You can check it out on her website, annreburn.com. You had a unique experience. You had a chance to live over in Spain for a year. What was that experience like, and what parts of their culture inspired you?
Living in Spain was an incredible experience. I went at the end of my college career, so it started out as a study abroad, and then it just turned into, I love it so much, I want to stay here. So it was eye-opening in many ways. I love the warmth and the friendliness of the people there. They definitely know how to throw a party, I'll say that. And it gave me a lot more empathy, really, for this situation of immigrants in our country. Visas and work permits were never something that I had to worry about. So, I know that's a bit of I don't, I don't want to turn this into a political statement. I'm just saying there are things that I never had to think about being a United States citizen, that my eyes were open to a lot of those struggles.
No, I think that's great. I've had a chance to travel the world a bit, and I've been in a third world country. And the one thing I can say is that it helps you respect the things that you do have, but also I walked away with a lot more compassion for those who are struggling, who have very little, but yet have such a happy family and spend time together and stuff like that. And I realize that it's not necessarily money that they need, but they need time and love and people to support them and stuff. So I think that's great that you had that type of an experience. The one thing I love about your pathway, and I could be wrong, so if I am, please correct me, but so you're pursuing music because you want that. You desire that to be your career. Right now, you have a part-time job as a audio visual tech. Is that correct?
Yeah, I work usually maybe 5 to 10 hours a week doing a little side hustle, sometimes
Side
less.
hustle. But
hmm
but that's part of the process, right? It's like it wasn't like you just moved to LA and then boom, everything is handed to you. It's like you got to continue to work and grind and continue to build up your following and continue to create music. And I think that ground cover work, I think, is what sometimes people forget about. But I would imagine for you, a good experience in terms of how to continue to push forward and pursue your dreams.
100%. I moved to LA without any sort of job lined up, and it took me a couple months to get that running. I would say I just hit the 4-year mark of living in LA, and I really didn't start to feel comfortable, like I had found my place until about 3 years in.
That's
I
awesome.
definitely did struggle a lot at first. It's a difficult city.
All right. Well, I have one more question for you. So, what is next for you? I mean, what is there a certain breakthrough you're looking for in LA? I mean, what is that? What is that next step for you, Anne?
That's a great question. I would love to continue to pursue original music, although I love doing covers. The original stuff is really what I'm most passionate about. So I would love to strengthen that and continue building my catalog. I would absolutely love to get a licensing deal, like for television or film. That's
Yes.
one of my big goals. But if getting to this point has taught me one thing. It's that even your wildest dreams might not fully encompass what could possibly happen to you. There's just no way to know. So I'm open to the possibilities.
Well, I think that's terrific. I would imagine, too, that being in LA over the course of the 4 years, you have a chance to meet some people who are in the music biz, who have great experience, who've been helpful. Is that the case? You probably come across some very sharp and talented minds, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one thing that definitely takes time to build. So I think that's part of why it took me so long to feel comfortable here. Just building up that circle of people that you can trust. And especially for someone who came here with no music industry connections whatsoever, it feels amazing to be getting my foot in the door and kind of making my own little path in this world.
It's terrific. If you're not familiar, I want you to check out her YouTube channel and hear her voice and see some of the videos she's put together. Anne Reburn, Reburn, and her new single will drop tomorrow, Everywhere and Nowhere. You can check out the website, annereburn.com. Follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Hear and Roar. And of course, you can support her at Patreon, which is critical to the work that she's doing right now, Anne Reburn. Anne, did I get everything right? Is there anything else if I left anything out, please let people know where they can find you.
Now, I couldn't have done it better myself.
All right, Anne, I just want to continue to encourage you. You're inspiring. I think you're terrific. And just keep up the good work and as you continue to pursue your dream.
Thank you so much. And thank you for letting me share a little bit. It's been an honor, Tad. Thank you.